23 days.
Oh, Matt, I can't believe it.
To the great sports of college football.
Wow.
Camps around the country underway. The defending champion Alabama Crimson Tide begin their title defense with the first practice in Tuscaloosa tomorrow. Nick Saban, fresh off an extension through 2029, ready to get to work, scheduled to address the media on Sunday morning. 33 ESPN college football experts submitted their pick for the top 25. Alabama led the way. Bryce Young will be under center for the Tide, who play Miami in just under a month. Oklahoma at number 2 for this season. They are still in the Big 12 for now. Heisman Trophy favorite Spencer Rattler will lead the Sooners towards that national title run. Lincoln Riley keeps producing quarterbacks. What about Clemson? Number 3 by the experts. DJ Uiagalelei takes over as starting quarterback for the ACC favorite. Their first game comes against number 4 team on the list. That would be SEC East favorite Georgia. They've got quarterback JT Daniels back under center. Bulldogs, boy, they've got that favorable schedule. They don't play Bama, A&M, or LSU. Rounding out the top 5, defending Big Ten champions Ohio State, another team with a new quarterback, but they are loaded at receiver. You know there's going to be talent all over the place for the Buckeyes. How about this little Thursday edition of McElroy and Matt here on SportsCenter? It's Greg McElroy. And look, Greg, before we get started, I want you to take a look at this full screen that we've compiled for you, okay? Alabama has lost its top producers on the offensive side of the ball. Bryce Young appeared in 7 games, but accounted for just 4% of the passing yards behind Mac Jones. Second leading rusher, Brian Robinson Jr. is the top returner on the ground. All of this is to say you got John Mechie coming back. Look at the percentage of production returning for Alabama. 4%, 38%, 33%, 43%. So, Greg, all of this is to say that at the end of the season, no one's saying that Alabama can't be the best team in the country. But based on what they have lost, how can we sit here today and say that Alabama is the number 1 team in the country?
Not shown on that screen, Matt, is the fact that 4 offensive coaches, including offensive coordinator Steve Sarkisian, also no longer there. So this is a complete rebuild for most teams. But Alabama, over the course of the last 15 years, has kind of been given now the benefit of the doubt. Nick Saban, you lose a coordinator, you lose a quarterback, you lose elite skilled playmakers on the outside, they just reload. And there's guys waiting in the wings that are going to be first rounders a couple years from now that haven't had the opportunity to be thrust into an alpha dog role. So I think they've earned the goodwill up to this point. Until proven otherwise, they are the team to beat. But if we're going based exclusively on what teams bring back and having questions answered, guys, it's the Oklahoma Sooners. They bring back arguably the best quarterback in college football in Spencer Rattler. They have a really talented wide receiver core. They can run the football between the tackles. Got one of the best impact transfers from Tennessee in Eric Gray to play running back, which is a position of need. And their defense, the strides that defense took last year under defensive coordinator Alex Grinch, leads me to believe that if they were in the playoff in 2020, they could have legitimately made some noise like they haven't done the last few years. So I'm very bullish on Oklahoma. So if it's not Bama, it should be Oklahoma at 1.
You talk about the lack of production. Alabama returns offensively. Oklahoma returns 76% of their overall production from last season. They always let down in the playoffs, though. They get to the playoffs and they can't get it done. Maybe this is the year's the difference for Lincoln Riley and the Sooners. Let's keep it SEC for a moment. Florida head coach Dan Mullen spoke about an hour ago. I want you to listen to what he had to say about his upcoming quarterback.
I think Emory has learned a great deal in the maturity of how to handle himself, how to prepare, how to be ready for your moment. Being around the guys, seeing how they handle it, how to prepare for different situations, how he gets himself ready for the season. You know, I think there's a lot to that within maturity of knowing how to prepare and how to do things. And then the expectations that come along with that and the responsibility when everybody's looking at you. I mean, he's got to go win the job still, but I think everybody looks at you as the guy that's going to be the guy. There's certain different levels of expectations for you within the good and the bad, and I think the maturity certainly helps him to be able to handle all of that.
So Kyle Trask is gone. He plays for the Buccaneers now. Emory Jones has been patiently waiting. He seems to be that type of quarterback that Dan Mullen loves to insert in his offense. Talk to me about how the Florida head ball coach is going to adjust his offense to Emory based on what we've seen the past couple of years out of Trask.
Well, Matt, obviously with Trask wasn't exactly the most mobile option, so they resorted more to a passing attack, very pass-heavy attack. because Dan Mullen is probably as good as anybody in college football in tinkering his offense to make sure that the quarterback's insanely comfortable. He even did so with Dak Prescott. You look early in Dak Prescott's career at Mississippi State, a little bit more quarterback run, a little bit more get the quarterback on the move. And then as he developed in his senior year, it became very pass happy. So I think that is something really encouraging with Dan Mullen and the way he can maneuver the offense and matriculate things into the offense that the quarterback's really comfortable with. Emory Jones, I think, is going to be a star, and it's going to be because Dan Mullen is going to get the best out in him by making him very comfortable with the plays he calls.
And do you believe this is really the first time we've seen a quarterback since he's returned to Florida as a head coach that fits the system that we're used to seeing out of Mullen, correct?
Correct. This might be, for instance, we look at Ohio State as an example. Dwayne Haskins at Ohio State, pass happy. Prior to that, it was J.T. Barrett, and they kind of ran the football. I think this could be a blend. Emory Jones is very athletic, but he can also throw it from the pocket as well.
Hey, what would a young Greg McElroy have made out of South Lake Carroll and NIL as a quarterback for the Tide? Are we talking 7 figures?
Oh, every bit of it. Yeah, every bit of it, no doubt. Maybe 8 or 9 figures, that's of course, right?
You were a brand right out of the gate. Greg McElroy, good perspective.
Yeah,
appreciate
you know it.
You talk about Emory Jones and his odds for a Heisman Trophy. Here's a look at the odds right now according to Caesars Sportsbook. Spencer Rattler, Hannah, you and I were just talking about it. So often the favorite going into the season doesn't win it. But Emory Jones, if you want some good value, look down at Emory Jones. The Gators haven't had a Heisman winner since Timmy back in 2007.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.